Misty, thanks so much. I very much appreciate even being part of such a great group. So certifications. I don't know if you need Valium beforehand or whatever. We have a number of certifications, but for people to understand, we've been in business now for about 18 years. So each certification that we've been able to earn, it's not been overnight. And for most cases, it's been sort of a strategic decision on my part, as well as my business partner, on which certifications to go after. So currently Life Health, and actually we're a healthcare company. So we deliver very specialized type of clinical healthcare to commercial customers, as well as the Department of Defense and a number of other military type of organizations. We currently have an 8A. I'm a veteran. And we have the veteran-owned small business through the VA, as well as the National Veterans Business Development Council. And that was sort of a strategic decision to do both. We also have a woman-owned small business, and we have 2 state certifications. Throughout Colorado, we have small business enterprise, disadvantaged business enterprise, the women's business organization. In Texas, the same, because we've done a tremendous amount of business in both of those states. So depending upon, we do business now in 30 states, and depending upon if they're more local type of opportunities, we will just fill out the application and get that certification through the state. Now, this really wasn't strategically thought out. We were approached probably about 13 years ago from the VA to be sort of the first tranche of veteran-owned small businesses. Well, it took 18 months to get the certification, and half of it was online, the other half was in paper. I mean, technology has changed so drastically since then. So every year we had to recertify. And of course, they changed the technology every year. So whatever you thought was the certification before, it was a different application. Now they've gone to 3 years, but wait, the SBA is going to be taking over managing it. So we have no idea what that's going to look like.
But the good thing is we have people on that can talk to it. So
yes, this is it. So now we have the SBA, I think, managing the women-owned small business. It'll be the veteran-owned and the 8A. So hold tight on what that application or that renewal looks like. So when we started roughly about 11 years ago in parallel with the 8A and the veteran-owned, we didn't realize, I mean, it wasn't strategically thought out. We just realized there was an opportunity with an 8A and the veteran-owned. We were awarded them at the same time. And then we were awarded a relatively large contract of about $1 million at Fort Carson. And to be perfectly frank, we had no idea at that point what we were doing. So we tapped into PTAC in Colorado, and they helped us out tremendously, deciphering and translating what this contract even looked like from the Department of Defense. So I have to smile because at the time it wasn't pleasant, but now we can look back on it and smile. So the 8A that we have is managed by the SBA. And I would say that to stay in compliance with the 8A takes probably about 20% of my time. So just understand that you have to stay in compliance with the SBA, plus you have to market your services and actually deliver on the contracts that you've been able to be awarded. So right now, probably about 10% of our business is 8A, and it's been tremendously helpful, and we've been able to deliver really flawlessly on any clinical contract that we've received. Now, the veteran-owned small business is a little bit more complicated. That renewal is every 3 years now, and it'll be transferred from the VA to the SBA. And again, we don't know what that looks like, but at any given time, you can get a call, which I did on Monday, from an auditor from the VA wanting a tremendous amount of documents from me and giving me literally 48 hours. And understand that was the same time corporate taxes were due. So when they call you, it's never at the most opportune time, but you have to deliver and stay in compliance with them. Now, there are a number of other veteran-owned certifications. One of our large customers, and we have a commercial division where we do wellness programs and a number of call centers for inbound and outbound veterans, active duty, et cetera. So one of our insurance companies asked us to join the National Veterans Business Development Council, which we did. Wonderful people. We're just not quite sure at this point whether other certifications are needed strategically for us. And this certification is every year. And these third party can get expensive. So I think you need to strategically understand whether it's really beneficial to your company to join the other two besides the
Yeah.
VA.
And I think that that's an important point that I do want to, I've now listed a whole bunch of questions and we'll let the panelists kind of introduce themselves as we go around too. That is a great point that you just brought up there, because you just listed off a litany of certifications that you already had, and then a litany of certifications that technically you qualify for, that you could go for, right? And I see that someone's asking what the 8A is, and I saw there's an answer there, and we'll get to all that stuff. But I think, Margot, as folks go into their breakout sessions, would you say that they definitely need to be looking for strategically what makes most sense for their business? Because while they can qualify for a ton of these, and that might make some sense, you as a pretty large, so I'm not going to give out, Margaret runs a very successful company. She's landed on the Vet 50. She's landed on the Vet 100, which is the fastest growing veteran-owned businesses in the nation. I think your SBA Vetrepreneur of the Year out maybe in your district, something, but lots of success there. But you also, like, what is strategic for you? And that's a question that veterans really should be striving to kind of start to kind of dig in on when we go into breakouts, would you say?
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
to really understand who your end customer is and what's important to them in the way of certification.
Perfect. Susanna, I have you on. So I know you can give a kind of a brief, introduction of who you are, what you do, and then I know we're going to be digging in a little bit to some of the points that Margot just brought up. There's a lot of change going on in the world when it comes to veteran certification. We just wrote a nice little guide about certification, what it can mean for veteran businesses. But with that, I'm going to turn it over to you to sort of introduce yourself, and then we can kind of go from there.
Sure, thank you so much. My name is Susanna Evelich. I'm the Director of Shared Services at the Office of Small and Disadvantaged Business Utilization at the Department of Veterans Affairs. I've actually been at the VA for approximately 15 years. I started at the Cleveland VA in Ohio and the Baltimore, DC, and just joined OSTABU, as we're affectionately called, approximately 1 year ago. The reason I started working at the VA is not because I'm a veteran, but because I was deployed as a civilian linguist with the US Army to Bosnia. And that's where I got my appreciation for soldiers. I saw them having to wash their BDUs, battle dress uniform, in the stream. I saw them having to sleep in sea huts and tents. I saw them not have running water. And so all of that inspired me to commit to a VA career. And that's one of the reasons that this discussion is so important for me, and I'm sure so very important for you. We can continue talking. One thing that I think I've already heard that I'd like to answer is whether or not going through these certification processes is worthwhile to you. So I pooled, with the help of some friends, I pooled the federal procurement data. So through January 31st, 2021, VA reported $7.287 billion in total procurement. Of that amount, $1.679 billion was allocated toward the SDVOSB goal, or Service Disabled Veteran-Owned Small Business, and $1.720 billion went towards the VOSB goal, or Veteran-Owned Small Business goal. So as you're thinking about, should I do this? That's just these are not year-end numbers. This is where we were in January, so these are not final numbers, but it is talking about the number of dollars that are out there and have been committed thus far in the fiscal year towards service disabled veteran-owned small businesses and veteran-owned small businesses. So I thought having a picture of VA's procurement universe would be the first step in deciding whether or not it's there for you. And I can't wait to continue talking with this group and keep sharing information. But I will let you introduce the other speakers right now.
Yeah, thank you so much. And no, I mean, look, I talked about it earlier, we heart data. So having those data points is really good. And I think getting all that information together as your veteran-owned business, even better. I think another important thing, and I should say it now, you're going to hear me default to saying veteran-owned, military-connected owned, military-affiliated, things like that. What is very important that I need to lay out now, because I just want to throw the point home, is that you're more than likely more than just a veteran. So you'll see as you go into these breakout sessions that we have representatives from NGLCC and Disability In and NMSDC and WeBank, et cetera, because more than likely there are more things out there than just that veteran certification. So we did pull all that together. So I do want to reiterate that while my default language will be to go back to veteran-owned, veteran, today we're looking at each other as the whole of us and understanding that there's more than one identity there. So with that, I do want to go over to Tom from the SBA to kind of talk about your side of the table, and then we'll go over to our great, amazing partners over at Fiserv with Bina. So we're excited about that too. So Tom, I'll let you kick it off.
Hey, thank you, everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Thomas McGrath. I'm the Deputy Director for Program and Resource Analysis and the Government Contracting Business Division at the SBA. I also have the Women-Owned Small Business Program in my portfolio, as we're starting up this new program that started rendering approvals last 15 October. So I see a lot of young ladies on the program, and I highly encourage you, put it in the chat. They did not certify to come on over and get certified to compete for set aside contracts in the federal contracting program, but we can go into that more. I'm a retired veteran myself. I served 30 years in the Army as an infantry officer, and very proudly. And I'm a former director of the Center for Verification and Evaluation, which I did from 16 to 2000. So I know a little bit about that. And I'm also, dedicated to veterans and business opportunities. And I have a wife and 4 daughters, and so I'm dedicated to women. Also, I want to make sure they have great opportunities out there too, because any business is good business for the federal government. And we want to make sure that we get you into the program if you meet the requirements, which is ownership and control, daily operations, future operations, of course, if you're a woman, and compete for those contracts. Small business is the backbone of the nation, and we really want to open that up. We do accept third-party certifications from 4 companies that are set aside in our Rule 13-127, and I'll put those in the chat also. We do accept them from CVE, 8A, HubZone, that are within the latter within the SBA, but of course CVE from the VA. We do require a minor check. For instance, if you're a veteran-owned company, we have to validate that you're a woman and that you meet some other requirements if you go through economically disadvantaged women-owned small business program, which is part of our program also. So we've been in business now, if you will, for about a year, but we started rendering approvals in this October 15th. And I've approved over 1,300 companies in that period of time. We do have an incredible volume of cases coming in, almost CVE like, Susanna, 1,400 a month that are rolling in there. So we're looking for more resources and more better ways of doing business, and so that we can get applications through quickly and efficiently, but also to make sure that they meet the requirements so that we can protect the business owner out there, that we don't have anybody who's trying to sneak their way in or anything like that. And use whether it's rent a vet or rent a wife or something like that. We do see that, and we want to make sure that is through a rigorous, thorough process that they're excluded and we get the right folks in it and they compete. That's me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you going over the verification of it all. So I would be remiss. So all of this too, so you've heard a lot of the government side, but private business is big business as well. So we here at the IVMF, through an amazing gift from our partners at Fiserv, founded the Coalition of Veteran-Owned Business, which is a coalition of Fortune 500 companies that said, we need to have more veteran-owned businesses in our supply chains. And so how do we help veteran-owned businesses become more procurement ready so they can do business with us? So today, representing Fiserv, we have Bina Webb, who can introduce herself and then kind of briefly talk about, Bina, why does certification matter? We know why it matters on the government side, and folks have touched about that, but what does supplier diversity matter to a corporation, and what are you all looking at when it comes to that or accepting for that? So I'll kick it over to you to introduce yourself.
Sure. Thank you so much, Misty. Thanks so much for having us. Fiserv is a financial technology firm. I joined late October to really stand up the supplier diversity program and grow the spend. So what does that really mean? One of the components that we look for is an active certification. And we recently just partnered with a company called Supplier.io. And what Supplier.io provides is a network of certified diverse suppliers. And what this database is doing, it's pulling various data from various certifying agencies into one platform, which then allows our sourcing professionals an easy way to search and identify diverse suppliers. So when you think about why is it important to get certified, this is the data that our sourcing folks are using to identify that opportunity, right? Suppliers that can fulfill whatever request that they're looking to fulfill from a sourcing perspective. And we are also using this data to measure metrics and KPIs to track our program growth. So if you think about the key takeaway, like diverse certification is the best way to gain that visibility and really promote your business.
I think that's a really good point. And we're starting to see more and more companies. I mean, if you look at it, right? So back, I think it was mostly the same team that used to be at JP Morgan Chase that's now over at Fiserv, but the veterans job mission, right? So there's a lot of groups that came together and said, we want to hire veterans. And then now that has taken off hugely. And there's I think over 1 million now corporations or 1 million jobs that can be counted back to that movement. And I think the same thing for supplier diversity. Companies are taking it very seriously. And it actually was a big movement before you saw a lot of other things kind of moving forward in the diverse space, where companies are now looking at billion-dollar roundtables holding them accountable. A lot of folks are looking at how can we increase spend at communities that look like our customers, and how do we do that? So I do think it's important to understand that it's not just if you're a government contractor that you need to think about certification, what that means for your business. It's if you're doing business with private companies, it's equally as important, because those companies are measuring their spend too, and quite frankly, prioritizing diverse spend. And so I think it's definitely a huge thing as we move forward. So let's just address, I guess, I'm going to call it the elephant in the room, but I think I'm just making it the elephant in the room by bringing it up. So there's been a lot of talk about the CVE and where that lives and what's been going on with that. And there's a lot of conversations around where it's going to live and moving forward. And is there any point in getting it right now, or what's happening? So can we just kind of, for the folks that are on today, talk a little bit about what's happening, what does that transition look like, and understanding that there's still a lot more information that will roll out as we move forward with that. Where should they go to look up that information so that they can be in the know and impress all their friends with their knowledge about the subject? I'll let either Susanna or Tom kick off, whoever wants to take it. You can run, or Enrique, whoever wants to take it, run with it.
I could start it out, Susanna, if that's good. Please pipe in. Under the NDA law that was signed in early January, the Center for Verification and Evaluation, to the SBA. And 1 January 2000.
Tom, you're kind of coming in and out, so I don't know if we want to
initiated a working group at the work. I'm sorry. Yeah, why don't you? We have initiated.
Yeah, I was about to say you're kind
a working group. We're going to look at the functions. And can you hear me any better?
I can hear you now, but if you start to break up, I'm going to pass it
Susanna, do
over
you
to
want to jump in?
Susanna.
Oh, you can hear me now.
Yes, I can. Can you
Okay,
hear
great,
me?
great. Sorry about that. I'm out in the country here. Yes. So we started a series of executive working groups that are going to be looking at the functions of the law, charters, personnel, databases,
Nope, Tom, we're officially moving over. Susanna's going to
several
take this one
today,
for a little
several
bit.
after this. More importantly, the SBA administrator was approved by the Senate.
Good afternoon. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You're set.
Okay, great. I'm so sorry. Tom McGrath is having technical issues. It's a pleasure to always listen to him speak and explain this. But I can start. The NDAA National Defense Authorization Act of 2021 was passed on January 1st and effective on the transfer date, which they said will be no longer than 24 months from that date. So December 31st, 2023, all functions that were functions of the VA Center for Verification and Evaluation shall be functions of the Small Business Administration. Section 862 of that law defined function to mean any duty, obligation, power, authority, responsibility, right, privilege, activity, or program, but it did not include employee. So specific transfer issues include property and records, and the VA will be making available for SBA use of all of our property and records in connection with the function to be transferred. We're also going to be sharing the database of verified firms in time for SBA to have that information. And legal processes involving the VA, which includes rulemakings with respect to verification, shall be continued by the SBA as of the effective date. So those are some of the main things that the VA is going to be sharing with the SBA. And then the SBA, hopefully Tom McGrath can come back on, they can talk about what sort of model they're envisioning. I don't think that right now they have all of that information. We are working very collaboratively through a working group of all the appropriate parties to make sure that the information transfers make this as seamless as possible, because both groups care so very much about our veterans and our veteran-owned small businesses. And we would love to share some of those successes and best practices with SBA. And SBA is very committed to making this successful as well. So that's just an overarching view of what the legislation is requiring in terms of the NDAA. And we are still working towards figuring out exactly how that will be, but we have digested a legislation, we have formed a working group, and it is the number one priority, make sure this goes seamlessly.
So one question.
Oh, sorry, I was gonna say, I wonder if we could check if Mr. McGrath.
That's what I was about to say. Tom, if you want to keep your video off, but then try to unmute, and if you have anything to add to that. You're gonna have to unmute. I don't know where you went. You might be reconnecting. Okay, so quick question then. Jason Anderson brought up the point in the chat. Jason, good to see you. Today, let's pretend I get I'm not a veteran, but let's just also pretend for a second. I get super excited and I want to go out right now and apply. Do I go to the SBA or do I go to the VA?
The VA is the only one that you can go to today.
That's a great answer. Margot, if you were going to give, because you're pretty good at sage advice like this, if you were going to tell the folks that are online now, understanding that they're in about 5-ish minutes going to go break out and then actually have an opportunity to talk to all these different certifiers. And we're going to have them introduce themselves in a second as well. What would you say that they need to try to pull as a piece of information or kind of have the end goal to be from that time that they spend with these certifiers? What do you think are important questions or important pieces of data to understand about the different certifications before you go down that route?
I think they need to understand their business and where their business fits in with all of these certifications, because if we're just going historically, the CVE was extremely valuable to us in combination with the 8A. So again, strategically, you have to look at it because it's an incredible amount of work and it's maintenance, and it's also providing extremely private financial information to all of these organizations. You have to sit back and think, do I really want to disclose all of this to all of these organizations? I think you just have to understand where you are as a company, where your infrastructure is, and where you want to go. Be very selective of which organizations that you submit the application for. That answer it? No.
Yeah, I think that's a really perfect answer. So I see a lot of different questions in the chat about can a new business get certified? Does it cost to get certified, et cetera, et cetera? Here's the deal. Here's the fun part about certification. It kind of depends on who you're talking to, on which one makes sense. But that is why we have, I don't even know, a whole lot of folks on there that can sit there and talk to you about each one. So here in a second, I will kind of introduce who the different groups are, and what we'll be doing is you'll actually get to break out into a breakout room. So right now you see all 80 people in one room. Gone are the days of that. We're really have embraced this whole Zoom thing. And so what we're going to do is have breakout rooms. And in those breakout rooms, you'll see folks like Philip, who's now up beside me, but he might be somewhere else on your screen. You'll see Anastasia, you'll see Andrika, you'll see some great folks that have each of their certifications, and they can talk to you about those specifics, about their certifications. What does it mean? If your business is X, what does it mean in terms of Y? So that you can then ask kind of these like pointed questions. I would encourage you that, you know, these 30,000 foot view questions, which are great, can a startup do it? Does it cost, et cetera, are amazing. If you're really going to drill in specifically about your business, ask if there's someone that you can follow up with, just so that everyone can kind of get some of those questions, unless there's time at the end too. I do want to say for folks, and I really kind of pass it to anyone on the panel, if I get a certification, does that automatically mean I'm going to get a contract?
No.
No.
So many heads. Guys, I want to see if we can, I don't think I could have coordinated a better in unison. I didn't even plan that one. So many heads. So at the end of the day, hard no, right? So it's about, you still have to have, I think Margot said it, you have to know your business. You have to be the best at what you do, or, you know, that can deliver it faster, better, anything else like that. And the certification is a great thing as well, but it is not an automatic golden ticket. You're not going to Willy Wonka world as soon as you get that certification. So important to understand. Tom, you're back. If you turn your camera off, it might be better, but we also might be able to hear you.
Okay.
Do you have anything to add in terms of what your point earlier? And then I think we're going to transition over to breakouts.
No, I think I'm sure Susanna covered it up. I mean, covered it all, not covered it up. And my apologies. One of the things about just a number, the number of small businesses getting contractors low is 10 to 15%. So coming ready and being ready will give you an advantage when it comes to the contracts.
Okay, perfect. Okay, y'all. So we have today with us, we have 7 different certifying bodies here. I'm going to let them each introduce themselves in 5 seconds or less. So name, what company, body, certifying body you're with, and who technically maybe your audience is, and as in like, yeah, your audience, your target demographic, if you will. So that we can go in there. Like I said, then we'll go into breakouts. You're allowed to move around in your, well, the certifying bodies, you're not allowed to move in your breakout. So don't go and try to have a party with another certifier that you like, they haven't seen in a while. You stay in your breakout, and then people will come to you and we can arrange a different party for that later on. So with that said, I am going to kick it off. I'm going to start with Matt because I see you first right now. Matt Pavlik, look alive. Who are you? What do you do?
All right. Thank you, Misty, and thank you, everybody. I'm Matthew Pavlik with the National Veteran-Owned Business Association. If you're interested in working with Novoba's corporate allies and private sector companies, we offer our Veteran Business Enterprise Certificate Program, and I'd love to talk with you more about that in breakout room 2. Thank you again, Misty.
Thank you very much. Andrika, I see you.
Thank you, Misty. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Andrika McCain. I'm with the Department of Veterans Affairs and the Center for Verification and Evaluation. We verify veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned small businesses, which can include surviving spouses. And so I look forward to answering any questions and telling you more about the program and the breakout room. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Philip.
Hi, Misty. Hi, everyone. Thank you. I am Philip DeVlieger. I lead our supplier diversity program at Disability In, where we certify businesses that are owned by people with disabilities, including service-disabled veterans. So looking forward to a great conversation in our exciting breakout room. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. And is it Constance?
Hello and good afternoon. I am Constance Jones, Senior Director for Network Delivery Services for the National Minority Supplier Development Council. We certify ethnic minority firms from African American, Asian Indian, Asian Pacific, Black, and Hispanic. Looking forward to sharing more information with you in our breakout.
Perfect. Anastasia?
Hi, I'm Anna. I'm with WeBank Metro New York, and we offer WeBank certification for New York State, Northern New Jersey, and Southern Connecticut, and that is for women-owned businesses looking for contracts with private corporations.
Sabrina?
Hi, everyone. Sabrina Kent, pronouns are she, hers. I'm a senior vice president at the National LGBT Chamber of Commerce. I look forward to chatting with you in breakout room 5 if you're an LGBT business owner.
Perfect. And Keith King.
Hi, I'm Keith King. I'm the founder and CEO of the National Veteran Business Development Council. We are the accepted certification body for the $1 Billion Roundtable in most of the major corporations in America. I'll look forward to talking to you about our certification in the breakout room.
Perfect. Did I miss anyone? I don't think I did. Nailed it, guys. Real proud of us. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. First of all, thank you very much. I know it was brief. I also know it was brilliant, but I think we also want to get into the good stuff, which is the breakout rooms. So thank you very, very much to Susanna and Tom for offering that little bit of clarification and what they should know there. Margot, as always, wealth of knowledge. We appreciate your time and just making time to come hang out with us today. And of course, Bina, we appreciate kind of giving that private side that corporations care about it too. So that's why y'all should as well. Really do appreciate all that. So here's what's going to happen now. And Kayla might be able to offer a little bit, or Elvis might be able to offer a little bit of more advice. What we're going to do, there will be a replay of this webinar. So I should say this first. For anyone that might have missed a wonderful data point, or if they want to come back and refer to something, or if they just really liked someone's background and they want to tune into that too, you will get a recording of this front half. When you go into breakout rooms, we're not going to record those, several different reasons, but you will get the recording of this front half in a follow-up email. We also, again, our amazing certifying friends will be giving helpful links or things like that that we can get in there. And we'll, again, also be asking for maybe a little piece of additional information too, so that we can kind of help identify this audience and how we can best tailor this offering as we move forward. This is one of, I think, many that we'll do to kind of dive into the different things that you need to be thinking about a certification, and as well as be able to have a few more on just refreshers, because that's always helpful as well. So you will get all of that information. But now the piece de resistance is, because we cannot gather in person, and typically these folks have amazing national conferences that you can go to learn more, webinars, meetups, everything else like that, you can't do that. So I'm going to give you the second best thing, which is a breakout room and a smaller audience, so you can ask some of these questions face to face and get to know each other a little bit, and all of that as well. So we'll be breaking out. Kayla, is this an automatic breakout, or will they see the pop-up and they'll choose where to go?
Yep, so you'll see the pop-up and then you'll be able to choose where to go. They're all the different certifiers are labeled by their room, by their acronym. So if you have questions, feel free to pop it in the chat and ask us. But on the right side of each room, it'll say join. Click whichever one you want to join. And then if you want to move in and out of rooms, at the bottom of your screen, you should have, once you break out into breakout rooms, at the bottom of your screen, you should have all these different boxes. And if you click on that, it'll pop up the breakout rooms again, and you can just click, you can move throughout whichever room you want.
For those folks that are actually having an old version of Zoom, we will definitely be here in the lobby, and we'll be happy to put you in a room manually. So just let us know which room you would like to go to, and we'll be happy to do that.
I think with that, so we're going to end the webinar here and then let you guys spend the rest of your time in your breakout rooms. So as soon as you're done, feel free to pop off. But we really hope that you got as much valuable information as you could, and we'll get in these different breakout rooms, because it's great that all of these different certifying bodies have actually hopped on here to meet you guys all in one space. It's a really special.
I didn't. I was singing "We're Back" to y'all, but I was on mute, which was probably actually a better thing for you than you even imagined. So it has officially been far too long since Broadway closed down, and we cannot have people like that in our lives to sing to us. But all of that to say, I have about 60 seconds or less, so I will also take a cue from the panel earlier to be brief in this case. Thank you again so much to everyone that decided to host a breakout session. I was in one of them for the entirety of the time. It was absolutely great to hear all of the information and all the interactions. That said, I know a lot of y'all were like speed dating and trying to get to every single session, and you probably didn't do it. And you know, I wish we could be here all afternoon, but since we can't, understand that we will be sending early next week an email that has the recording there, as well as links and contact information, so that you can schedule time to follow up with our amazing folks that were here today. So I can't take the time to thank all of you individually, but again, from the bottom of my heart, I really do appreciate the certifying bodies being here to connect with everyone. I think it's extremely valuable to make that warm handoff. If you can check out, we'll put a copy of the paper in the link. You can check out more information about these certifying bodies, as well as the state certifying bodies too. And do not forget, IDMF does not do certification. We will never do certification. I can say that with confidence, but what we do very well is training programs. So if you have something that you would like to follow up with your business, do not forget that we have 12 national programs and actually 1 international that will meet you where you're at on your journey. So please come join us when we can all gather again within 6 feet of each other, so I can see you in person. So again, thank you to our certifying bodies that were here today joining us. Thank you to our subject matter experts. And of course, thank you to our veteran-owned businesses for taking the time to invest in yourself. So we appreciate it. And you'll see an email from us next week.